Hi, John. Let's take a look at your new set. The first one is about father staying home while mothers work. Let's see what you said. Experts worldwide have debated in which roles fathers and mothers shall play in families. Some believe fathers should be the breadwinners, whereas some hold that it does not matter who makes a living for families. This essay will examine the causes of the increasing number of fathers who look after children at home, and I firmly believe that it is a positive development to families and the society as a whole. Okay, I liked this. I like this last sentence, but the other two had a couple of little issues. Let's talk about them. The first sentence had a problem with grammar. So, experts worldwide have debated, not in which roles, but have debated which roles fathers and mothers, not shall, but should, or should play in families. And then this isn't really a very accurate rephrasing of the topic. It's not whether the father should be the breadwinners or not. It's actually it's that this is happening, that fathers are staying home, women are going out to work, and then is this good or is this bad? So this is the actual debate. So you're kind of focusing, at least as far as your introduction is concerned, on not the most accurate element of this essay. So I would have rephrased this. So something like, let's see. I've debated the roles fathers and mothers should play in families. How about this? Some people think it is positive that fathers are staying home while mothers are working, whereas others believe this is negative. Okay, and then you could have said the rest. Let's continue. There is ample evidence that there is no difference in earning abilities between men and women in many European countries. This is because most of the jobs nowadays are service-oriented and require intellectual ability rather than high physical fitness. In other words, either a father or a mother alone can support the family financially. For example, recent studies from the European Union indicated that 90% of the job salaries in the tertiary industry between both genders are equal. In addition, the working opportunities of freelance jobs are booming. In other words, those who stay home to take care of families can still earn money without attending offices. It clearly explains the growing figure for fathers staying at home. Okay, so this is interesting. Okay, it's interesting. The grammar is good. The vocabulary is good. I liked a lot of it. However, it didn't really follow a kind of recognized IELTS style of paragraphing and of organizing your ideas. What do I mean? I mean that you never actually stated what the main idea of this was until that actual last sentence. Okay? So it explains the growing figure for fathers staying at home. Well, I didn't know where you were going with this until that sentence. And you don't want that. You want from that first sentence of each paragraph, the examiner to know exactly where you're going. You want the examiner to know what the central idea of that paragraph is as early as the first sentence of your paragraph. Okay? So you could have rephrased this in such a way that would have happened. So you could have said that there is ample evidence that the reason for fathers staying home and mothers working is that there is no difference in the earning abilities between men and women. Okay? But even that doesn't make sense because what let's take a look. They're not saying that fathers are staying home and working. So I feel like there's a little bit of a misinterpretation of this. It's not saying that the fathers are staying home and working remotely from home. It's saying that they're staying home and taking care of their children. Okay? Whereas it's the mothers who are working. So you took this to mean that, oh, well, maybe they're staying home and working at a home office or something while being with the family. I don't believe that that's what the essay is actually asking you to talk about. Otherwise, it would have brought up something like remote work. Okay. So for you to focus on this, I think is not really what was meant here. Okay. You were supposed to focus on basically this shift in gender roles, essentially, where mothers are the winners and fathers are the caretakers. Okay, so why is this happening? And that's really what they were looking for here. So, two problems here. I felt like it was not really covering the topic as it was expected. And also, in terms of coherence and cohesion, I felt like it was difficult to find your central idea. Couldn't really find it until that very last sentence. And so you want to flip this around, make sure that the central idea is absolutely clear from that very first sentence. All right, let's keep going. Undeniably, this is a positive development to all, as it represents the overall improvement in society. Previously, the situation of gender discrimination was more severe than today's situation. This created huge differences in salary for the same job. Obviously, the status has been reserved nowadays. I don't understand that. Has been reversed? Is that what you mean? And it benefits both genders. Moreover, this development also represents freedom to choose for women. The role of mothers does not limit to families, but also breadwinning. Both men and women can contribute to families in their own way. It is undeniable that the love for children is the same between fathers and mothers, so no one should criticize that children will be badly affected if their father looks after them at home rather than their mother. All right, I really want to read this again because I kind of feel like there's an issue with the coherence and cohesion behind it. So why don't we do that? So you're saying it's a positive development because it's an improvement in society. Great. So then you say here in these sentences that before we had gender discrimination, now we don't. And so this is better for everybody. Okay. Let's see. Okay. And then here you say that it allows freedom to women. The roles of mother, this is odd here. The role of mothers is not limited to families, but also to breadwinning. Maybe that's part of the problem. And then here, both men and women can contribute to their families in their own way. It is undeniable. I felt like these three sentences were not really linked together. So I don't understand how you meant them to kind of create a chain and how you thought that they all sort of related to each other. I thought you need to do a better job with this because I wasn't really following your train of thought. Okay. So that needed some work here. Let's look at your conclusion. To conclude, gender equality is the main reason for this phenomenon, and there is no reason to fix the roles of fathers and mothers. Undoubtedly, this must be a positive development to our society, as equality and freedom to choose are our fundamental values in the civilized world. Okay, I like that. That's good. Fundamental values is good. Positive development is good. Civilized world is good. All this was nice. You had those pieces, those collocations, gender equality. So that was a nice piece of writing there. Okay. I think you have a good idea about what's going on here, the good and the areas that needed some help. Let's take a look at your task one now. Now we have the rainfall in the three UK areas. Let's see what you wrote here. Bear with me for a second. Okay, the line graph presents the monthly precipitation statistics measured by millimeters in England, Scotland, and Wales in 2018. Overall, it is clear that the rainfall in England was the highest throughout the year, whereas Wales had the fewest millimeters of rainwater. The months with the largest amount of rain in Scotland were March and October. Okay, I was fine with this sentence. I thought that was good. I don't know why you necessarily needed to mention this bit of information about Scotland. That for me was not really appropriate in an overview. The idea behind your overview is to really point out the main trend, the biggest thing you see, the thing that's most obvious, most glaring here in this. And this one, when you first look at it, can be rather overwhelming. So it's kind of like, all right, well, what can I possibly say about this bizarre fluctuating line graph with 36 pieces of information? Well, I think the first thing you said was good. You said that overall England had the highest. You missed for me something really important. You missed the fact that there was pretty dramatic fluctuation for all three countries. So that's something I would have said. I would have said something like, although all three countries experienced considerable fluctuation throughout the period, England had on average the highest rainfall. That for me would have been a stellar overview. Okay? Because when you first look at this, you certainly cannot say to yourself, oh, well, clearly Scotland had March, October had the largest rainfall. I mean, no, that's not the first thing you see here by far, not even close. So I would have left it out in your overview. Okay, let's move on. During the first half of 2018, a downward trend in England was found, falling gradually from around 110 in January to the lowest level of 75 ml in June. In contrast, Scotland saw a dramatic fluctuation in rainfall, starting at the similar level of England in January, breaking the level of 50 ml twice in February and April, then ending to around 100 in June. Wales had an opposite pattern of Scotland in January to March. Then the figures rose from its lowest point at 30 in April to 110 in May, ending at 50 in June. Okay, so I like the way you decided to organize this. I thought that was smart. You decided to split the year in half, and that's not a bad thing to do. Let's see. Okay, so I was actually all right with the way you decided to do this. That's fine. Let's see what else you said. In the second half, Wales experienced a 3-month low. Okay. Of rainy weather from August to October, dropping from its highest point in July at around 135 to 40 in August. Although England and Scotland also saw a drop in rainfall in August, the level kept at a range from 80 to 120 during August to October. During the last 3 months in 2018, all three nations had different patterns. England saw an upward trend, whereas a rapid fall was found in Wales. Okay, that's fine. I think the one piece of information that I would have liked is where they ended the year, because you're telling a story here, and when you tell a story, it's what's important. Obviously, the key points in the middle of the story. Don't forget the beginning and the end of the story. So for me, it's pretty important to mention that the year more or less ended where it began, if you really look at it. So if Scotland was here, it ended here. England ended here, although it started here. I mean, very similar figures, and the same thing is true for Wales. So that's just one little piece of information that was missing from me. I think you might have left out some of the details you included here. You included really quite a lot. Let's see. Yeah, it's 235 words. So you might want to think about that. Maybe you could have taken out some of this detail, like a little bit of it. Gosh, I would have to really sit and analyze it as to where I thought you could have left things out. But let me put it to you in a different way. When I do this, I always consider that there are several key points here for each of these countries. So for me, the important parts for England are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's it for England. Okay. So in other words, the beginning is important. That low is important. It just so happens that it has 3 peaks, and one of those peaks is the end as well. Okay? For Scotland, the important points are 1, 2, 3, 4, because it has 2 peaks as well, and then 5. And then for Wales, there are also 5 points. So look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you talked a lot about some of this variation. Like, for example, you probably mentioned something like, oh, well, in November it was this, and then it dropped at the end of the year to this point. You don't really need to mention this. I mean, is it a piece of information that is interesting? Well, I guess theoretically, yes, it is. But for these purposes and for the purposes of your writing, it's not so important. So I thought you could have cut this down a little bit. The language was good. The grammar was good. I like the way you organize this. I personally don't organize mine like this when I write this. I do it by country. So yeah, I mean, I probably personally would have a paragraph about England and Scotland together since their starting numbers are around the same, okay, as are their ending numbers. And then I would have a separate paragraph about Wales since it's, definitely lower than the others. So that's how I would do it. But I actually like the way you did it, breaking the year in half like that. I thought it was interesting. But again, I thought you probably focused a little bit too much on details and it kind of took away from some of those key points. So just be careful with that. On the whole, it was a good attempt. I liked it. So yeah, keep going, keep writing. Let me know if you have any comments or any questions about the feedback in this set. And I'll be waiting for your next set. Okay, good luck to you.